On a warm June morning in a small American town, the villagers gather for their annual lottery. You got children laughing, parents that are chatting it up, and the air feels like the start of summer. But in Shirley Jackson's world, the prize isn't money, well, it's death. And when the lottery was published in 1948, readers were horrified, not just by what happens, but by how familiar it felt. I'm Matt Haskell. I'm a high school history teacher, and I like to talk about things we should all know just by being alive. And sometimes I like to help out my Scholar Bowl students too. But here, I want to take some time and talk about the lottery. So if we're going to set the stage for this, Shirley Jackson was a writer who saw darkness hiding in everyday life. And in post-war America, which was an age of optimism and conformity and suburban comfort, she wrote about the tension between community and cruelty. The lottery was published in the New Yorker in June of 1948, and within days, the magazine received more hate mail than for any story it had ever printed. Some readers thought it was real. Others called Jackson perverse or un-American. But she wasn't describing another world. She was just trying to hold up a mirror to ours. The story takes place in a small rural town on a bright summer morning, and the entire community gathers in the square for an annual ritual simply known as the lottery. Children, collect stones, families line up, and the event, it kind of feels casual. It's almost festive. And Mr. Summers, who runs the coal business, oversees the drawing from an old black wooden box, and each family draws a slip of paper. At first, we don't know what's at stake, but we sense tension beneath the politeness. When the Hutchinson family draws the marked slip, the mood shifts. The villagers draw again, and this time, Tessie Hutchinson is chosen. And she protests, "It isn't fair. It isn't right," as her neighbors and friends and even her own family pick up stones. And the story ends not with explanation, but with the brutal image of ritualized violence that's disguised as tradition. Now, the lottery is short. It's just a few pages. But there's just like entire volumes of meaning within the story. At its core, it's about conformity and the danger of unexamined tradition. You have ritualized violence where the townspeople just kill without question because we've always done it this way. And Jackson wants the readers to ask, what cruelties do we accept simply because they're familiar? There's this mob mentality. No single person chooses to kill Tessie, but together they all do. It's how ordinary people commit atrocities when responsibility is shared and then reason is just surrendered. Then we have, the banality of evil. Hannah Arendt would later use that phrase to describe how bureaucratic obedience fueled, horrors in the real world. And Jackson's story predicted it. Evil doesn't always wear a villain's face. Sometimes it looks just like your neighbor. And then there's this fragility of morality, because even the most civilized societies can normalize violence if it's ritualized and it's hidden behind tradition. Jackson's symbols in the story are very, almost deceptively simple. The black box represents tradition. It's rather old and splintered, but unquestioned, and it's passed down, even though no one remembers why. And then the stones symbolize just the collective violence. They're small, harmless objects that together can just destroy a person. And that sunny June morning, it kind of stands for this illusion of normalcy. That horror often hides in plain sight. But by setting the story in a peaceful, modern town, Shirley Jackson stripped away the excuses. This isn't ancient barbarism. It's human nature, anywhere, any time. And when the lottery appeared, readers were furious. Some canceled their subscriptions to the New Yorker. Others demanded explanation. But Jackson never gave one. She said only that she wanted to explore how people cling to traditions that no longer make sense. And in the aftermath of World War II and the Holocaust, the story really hit a nerve. It asked Americans to look inward, to see that violence and prejudice and cruelty aren't just foreign evils. They can exist in ordinary communities that choose not to question themselves. And over 75 years later, whatever it is, The Lottery is one of the most studied and anthologized short stories in history. It's taught not just as literature, but also there's psychology and sociology. And also it contains a political warning. You know, from the Hunger Games to dystopian shows like Black Mirror, the influence of The Lottery is everywhere because its lesson never expires. So if you follow the crowd without thinking, if you honor a tradition without understanding it, you might one day find yourself holding a stone. The reason why it matters, why am I talking about it? Well, you probably read it in high school at some point, or like I want my Scholar Bowl students, my athletes, to kind of get a little more detail out of this. But anyway, The Lottery isn't just about violence. It's about complacency, and the kind that lets injustice survive through silence. It forces us to ask, what lotteries still exist today? What customs or policies or systems continue simply because no one dares to stop them? And so the story endures because it makes us uncomfortable, and that discomfort is the beginning of awareness. And that's The Lottery. It's a story about a small town and about every town. And it's a reminder that evil doesn't always come with, horns or, just outward hatred. Sometimes it comes with the sunshine and some small talk and, even a smile. Thanks for watching.